Hey everybody, welcome back. These are some mother-in-laws from hell that are a just no from me. Or perhaps an absolutely not. Mother-in-law shows up after 25 years and expects to be accepted as a grandmother. I'm a single father. I've raised my son alone because when he was just a few days old, his mother suddenly decided she didn't want a child anymore. She claims she's not ready to have a child and just refused to even feed him or hold him. I wanted to give her some time. I thought that maybe it's just postpartum or something. I was ready to be there for her, but she was serious. She packed her stuff and left the hospital. Her last words were that she wants to see neither me nor our son ever again. I haven't seen her since. And I kind of feel like the mother-in-law had something to do with it because during her pregnancy, she was talking all the time about how young her daughter is and how inappropriate of a moment this is for her to have a child. I don't have any proof. I can't tell anything for sure, but I feel like mother-in-law somehow secretly persuaded her to take this step for whatever reason.
But it was all her fault.
So I was left alone with an infant in my hands. It definitely wasn't easy. Oh gosh, that is so awful. I was just 21 years old and I had to leave college and work very hard to give my son everything he needed. Fortunately, I wasn't completely alone. It's interesting to hear this from like a single father's perspective because like I know there's a lot of single mothers who do this too. Not a lot of single fathers. Good for you for not giving up. There were people who helped me get through the hardest period. People who babysat him while I was working, who gave me advice on how to take care of a baby, and I'll forever be thankful to them. When he grew up a little, it became easier. I could send him to a kindergarten and work without asking people to take care of him while I'm not there. During all this time, I hope to hear from his mother. I hope she'd eventually come around and realize you can't just leave your child like a worthless piece of trash. But even though I had left her my contacts and she could call me or write me a letter or something, she didn't. I never heard from her. Oh, that is so hard. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. She never once used her rights to visit him. When he was little, he often asked me, why did his mother leave him? Oh no, that is so heartbreaking. No. Why didn't she want him? I'm dying. Oh no. The feels. I'm in my feels. Oh. I didn't know what to answer because I always tried not to speak badly of his mother in front of him.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have.
Now my son is 25. He's a hardworking, educated young man, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm proud of myself that I was able to raise him to be a good person. You should honestly give yourself a pat on the back because that's not easy to do on your own. A lot of people would take a situation like that and use it as a reason to not try. Use it as a reason to fail in life. You blame it on the parents, you blame it on your circumstances, whatever, but I'm really proud of you for sticking to it and raising a very, very wonderful young man.
Because that's what heroes do.
We stopped talking about his mother a long time ago. It was his initiative. He was like, well, if she doesn't want to be with us, then it's her loss and there's nothing we can do about it, period. So recently, mother-in-law appeared on our doorstep. Okay. Without a call, without any kind of notification, she was just there and she'd come to visit her grandson. I couldn't believe my ears, and at first I almost didn't recognize her because so many years had passed. And she was behaving as if she was a caring grandmother who'd come to see her grandchild like she does all the time, not like she was gone for 25 years. It's interesting that she shows up after the child has already been raised. Like, I'm sorry, where were you when I needed a babysitter? When my son saw her, he didn't recognize her either. I've shown him pictures of his mother and his grandmother just in case they show up one day, but never really thought that they would. She ran up to him and hugged him just like a loving grandmother would, asking how he's doing and how big and beautiful he's become, and he pushed her away and looked kind of confused.
Go away!
I told him that's his grandmother who randomly showed up to visit him, and he was like, oh, and walked away from her. Those are some consequences, aren't they? Mother-in-law didn't take this reaction very well. I'm sorry, was he expecting you guys to just kiss and make up and carry on as if nothing happened? She looked at me and was like, what have you taught him if he doesn't say hello to his grandmother? You didn't show up for 25 years. That's not something that he taught him. He's looking at me as if I'm a stranger. That's because you are! You are, babe! He's never seen you before! Haven't you told him about his mother and me and shown him our pictures? Well, technically you are a stranger, mother-in-law. He had never seen you in person, so why are you so surprised? You show up out of thin air after 25 years when he's all grown up and expect him to treat you with love? Isn't it kind of delusional? I would say it is rather delulu. Delulu lemon, size extra, extra, extra large. My son said, Dad did show me your picture, but I needed no picture. I needed you to be there for me. That's what's up. He was quite hateful with her, throwing question after question at her, and mother-in-law's responses were so incredibly narrow-minded, it looked like she wasn't expecting him to ask any questions. He asked her where his mother was, and mother-in-law was like, oh, she's doing very well. She's living together with a great man, and she has 2 nice kids. She's gotten over that misunderstanding about your birth. I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, she's doing great. She's got 2 kids and a nice man. I'm sorry, is that supposed to make him like happy for her? I thought she didn't want kids. She was acting as if her daughter was the victim here, as if we were the ones who left her. He asked, why did his mother abandon him? Mother-in-law said, well, she was such a young girl. It would be craziness for her to have a child at that age. She had her whole life ahead of her and a baby would have only been an obstacle. You must understand it. She didn't want to lose her freedom.
What a load of crap.
Listen, I don't know the circumstances, but like it was 25 years too. There was no contact with this son. There was no contact with the father. She clearly grew up to the point where she wasn't young anymore. Why couldn't she have shown up later in life? Honestly, her daughter was older than me when our son was born. She was 24. I don't think it's too early to have a child. It's not like she was 14 or something. Actually, age has nothing to do with it. I could have given up my son too. I was very young as well. That's what's up. Why is it up to you? Why does she only care about her own youth? But I didn't because I loved him and I wanted to be his father. At this point, I wanted to show mother-in-law the door. Obviously, she wasn't welcome in our house, but my son stopped me. He had one more question. He asked why mother-in-law didn't want to be his grandmother. His mother left him, fine, but why did mother-in-law leave too? Mother-in-law said, well, I had no time to take care of you. I was a young woman too. I had my life too. Oh, poor you. And grandkids are only obligated to take care of grandparents when they're old, and that's why I'm here. Oh, isn't that funny? Something tells me that's not gonna happen. The audacity! The delusion! Then my son told her to leave and never come back. He said he doesn't want to ever see her again and he won't help her with anything. As she was leaving, she attacked me like, that's what I thought. A man alone can't raise a proper human being. Oh, right? Okay, so then where were you? Such a rude and impolite boy. He would have turned out better in an orphanage than with you.
Get the f*** out of here.
I don't think so. It's funny that you're making judgments about how he's choosing to raise his son when you literally were not there at all. According to mother-in-law, the conclusion is don't have children while you're young, or if you do, feel free to leave them and then come back a few decades later and they'll love you even though they have never received any kind of care from you. But seriously, what was she expecting? A meal ticket, babe. That's all kind of messed up. Hella delulu. I commend you, sir. I know that you're just an anonymous Redditor, but I commend you for not giving up and for, sticking with it and raising this young man to be a stand-up gentleman like yourself. Good on ya, mate. I like how there's an entire Reddit thread just about delusional mother-in-laws. Why are they all so delulu? Husband somehow got me to agree to host my mother-in-law and foster baby, father-in-law, and sister in our home with 2 littles and a dog. So mother-in-law arrives with 4 suitcases for a 1-week stay. Oh. Were they full of hats? Lots of hats, eh?
Hats.
I let it go. I don't have to unpack her, so I don't care. She sets up in the guest suite above the garage because I've just successfully sleep trained my children, and I will walk out of this house and never come back if someone f***s that up. Oh, you put her in the garage, eh? I lived in a garage once. It wasn't fun. Oh, those were the days. Everyone else is in the main house and knows that there's silent hours between 7 and 7, and I have a knife. No problems. There's little comments here and there about my son likes his potatoes like this, and I make my stuffing this way, to which I just hand her whatever cooking tool I was using and say, thanks for taking over, I appreciate it, and take a nap. I feel like you've got this down to a science. Put her in the garage so you don't have to see her, and then give her whatever cooking tool you're using if she complains about the cooking. Love it. Love it. It's been a great time. I'm not even kidding. I've gotten so many naps. Christmas Day arrives and I'm cooking up a storm, singing my Jewish heart out to Christmas music. The tree is trimmed, the stockings are full of whatever MLM my mother-in-law has bought into. Last year, all of our colons were squeaky clean. Wait, your colons?
Why'd it have to be the colon?
What is that? Okay, all right. You're not going to elaborate? All right. Father-in-law is already drunk. Good times, many blessings. We have a delicious Christmas brunch and she even praises my cinnamon rolls. I bought them. Don't you guys say a word to her. Kids are all excited for gifts. We open, we thank, we say, oh, that's too much. I love your writing, babe, so creative. And then thump, 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 3 of mother-in-law's suitcases come rolling in. Husband kindly asked me to stop speculating that there's a body in there. I mean, that's a fair assumption, I'm not gonna lie. She then proceeds to open up the suitcases and alas, no body. Just clothes. An entire new wardrobe, from underthings to coats, boots to slippers, new socks even, all for me. For you? The tags are still on, all in a size I haven't been in or would want to be in since middle school. Ta-da! It's your goal clothes. She even did spirit fingers. Your goal clothes! Absolutely not! You mean to tell me that this mother-in-law bought you an entire new wardrobe of small clothing that you cannot fit into to encourage you to lose weight? Ain't that a kicker? I was at first gonna be like so happy about it. I was like, oh wow, she bought you a new wardrobe. That is so nice. Why is she even in this video? Oh, I see. This woman bought me a whole new wardrobe as if our house had burned down or something. I'm very comfortably a size 12 to 14, and I'm happy to lose 20 pounds eventually, but I'm never gonna fit into a size 4. Buddy, I have never been a size 4. I went from like a baby to a size 6. And especially when you get to a point where you're like older, your hips are a lot wider, you know? That's just kind of what happens with women's bodies. They get like wider. A lot of women, not all women, but many of us. She's beaming with her wrinkly smoker's mouth. She left the tags on purpose. I know her cheap wants me to blow up and she'll just return it. Wow, is that what is going on here? She just wants you to get mad? So I smile and hug her and exclaim over them. I bring them into my room and cut off all the tags. She's watching me like a hawk. Oh, that's diabolical. The next day, I pack the clothing up, all professional garb and super pretty cocktail dresses, because me living in leggings and hoodies and sundresses is somehow unappealing and unacceptable. I thump the luggage down the stairs, wave to her, and I bring the entire thing to a woman's shelter. And that, my friends, is how it's done. I come back and she's ready to start her screaming. I go up to her and hug her again and tell her she's changed so many women's lives with those clothes. It'll be easier for them to find work. I tell her she's a good person, generous, kind, skinny. Yeah. Just the icing on top. You're so skinny, babe. You look like a supermodel. We watch a movie as a family. She left last night looking miserable. I've been celebrating with Chinese food, as you should, babe. Happy New Year's, my friends. May your mother-in-law's time be short on your husband's in the will. Incredible. Why do we gotta be so passive aggressive about it? Why do you gotta live up to like the evil mother-in-law, monster-in-law standard? I just don't get it. If you wanna see your grandkids, you'll back the f off and let me eat my cinnamon bun. Mother-in-law gifted me laser tattoo removal for my birthday. I don't want them removed. Yikes. Why do they all do this passive-aggressive gift? Oh my God. It's kind of like a mother-in-law getting you a scale, you know? Like if you smell bad, they like get you like perfume. It's like, oh babe, you need this. I just wanted to get you something you need. I got you a subscription at Weight Watchers. Just found the subreddit, had to share this story. My husband, 43 male, and I, 31 female, have been married for 3 years, together for 6. Obviously, there's an age gap between my husband and I, which has never been an issue for us. My mother-in-law, however, has greatly disapproved and likes to talk to me like I'm a rebellious teenager instead of her son's life partner. A big issue for her is the fact that I have tattoos. I love all my tattoos. They're well done and a huge part of my identity. I can't imagine myself without them, and my husband loves how they look on me. Mother-in-law made a few comments while we were dating, but my husband told her privately to drop it. Why does it matter? It's not like she's dating you. If you got a problem with tattoos, just don't get them. That's like the narcissism, you know? She doesn't want her friends to talk about the fact that her daughter-in-law is like a rebel, a goth, a delinquent with tattoos. She's probably part of a gang. 3 years ago, my husband and I hosted our families for my birthday dinner. It was our first big get together after getting married, and everyone was nice enough to bring me a gift. I was gonna open them after everyone left, but mother-in-law handed me an envelope at dinner and insisted I opened it immediately. Oh no, in front of everyone? That is so embarrassing. For her, not you, babe, her. Inside was a card and a gift certificate to a local tattoo removal business for $500. I was confused and asked her what this was for. She said that since I was a married woman now and planning to have kids, she assumed I would want my tattoos removed.
Wrong.
I'm sorry. What does she think tattoos are? Like a stamp? You know, just like, me, I'm eligible. How do those two things correlate? I don't get it. Both my husband and I were kind of taken aback and stunned. I half-heartedly thanked her and the party continued. Later, my husband called her and told her off. She refused and insisted I would want it someday. Why is it your business? It has nothing to do with you. Mother-in-laws are experts in not minding their business, in being in everyone's dang business but their own. 3 years later, her $500 is sitting in my kitchen junk drawer. A junk drawer. Say that 5 times fast. Junk drawer. Junk drawer. And I've added 3 more tattoos to the collection. Yes, queen. I was hoping that you would get more tattoos. Why not? Get a face tat. Get a nice little tramp stamp. Just an obscene one, you know? Like, make her so uncomfortable. Here's some advice for all you mother-in-laws. Mind your business and babysit your grandkids. Subscribe